It's funny, sometimes the most profound, life-changing truths aren't shouted from a mountaintop. Sometimes they're hiding in the most overlooked places, like the simple greeting at the start of a letter. Let's take a look. In the very first verse of his letter to the church in Rome, the Apostle Paul introduces himself with these three powerful statements. Now, this isn't just a simple hello. This is his whole life, his entire purpose, all defined in just a few words. He says he's an apostle, and that means he's been sent with the full authority of the one who sent him. And that right there, that's the key we need to grab onto. These opening verses of Romans are not just some polite introduction. No, they are the entire gospel, the good news, powerfully condensed into one of the most explosive greetings you will ever read. So to really understand this incredible message, we first have to understand the messenger. Who is this man, Paul, and how does he actually see himself? Okay, look at these three descriptions. Notice anything? None of them are things he achieved on his own. In the Roman world, which was obsessed with status and honor, this was a totally radical way to introduce yourself. Paul isn't building a resume here. He first calls himself a servant, which means he belongs completely to Christ. He is called by God's choice, not his own personal ambition. And he is set apart for one single thing, God's gospel. His whole identity is a gift, defined entirely by his relationship to his Lord. So Paul's identity is given by God for a message that comes from God. So what exactly is this message? What is this good news? Paul makes it incredibly clear right away in Romans chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, that this gospel isn't some new idea he just came up with. He says it was promised by God a long, long time ago through his prophets in the scriptures. It's the grand finale of a story God has been telling from the very beginning. And this helps us get crystal clear on what this good news really is. It is not just a self-help plan or another philosophy to debate. It is God's own announcement, rooted in his eternal plan. It's God revealing himself to us. And because this message comes directly from God, it carries his authority and his power to save. So this ancient, powerful, God-given gospel, who is it all about? Well, the answer is the absolute center of everything. It's all about his Son. First, this gospel is about a real person. Romans chapter 1, verse 3 tells us that Jesus was fully human, a man with a real family tree, a direct descendant of King David. This is so important because it confirms he is the promised Messiah, the long-awaited king that the prophets talked about for centuries. But that's only half the story. In the very next verse, Romans chapter 1, verse 4, we get the other side of this amazing truth. This same Jesus of Nazareth was declared with absolute power to be the Son of God through the single greatest event in all of history, his resurrection from the dead. He is both David's son and God's eternal Son. This incredible news isn't just a fact to be filed away. This truth about who Jesus is creates a mission, a calling that flows right out of God's grace. Paul says his goal is to bring about the obedience of faith. Now, what on earth does that mean? Well, it's not obedience in order to get faith. It's the kind of obedience that naturally grows out of a genuine faith in Christ. Think of it like this. Faith is the root, deep in the soil of God's grace. Obedience is the fruit that grows on the branches. It's the result of a changed heart, not the way to earn our salvation. And who is this for? Is it for a select few? For one special group of people? Not at all. The vision explodes outward to include all the nations. This is a world-transforming announcement meant for every single person, everywhere. And now, this is where Paul takes this massive, global mission and brings it right down to the most personal level imaginable. He's speaking directly to his readers in Rome, and you know what? He's speaking directly to us today. This really forces us to ask the big question: where do I fit into this grand cosmic story of God's promised Son and his global mission? And here it is, the climax of the entire greeting, right here in Romans chapter 1, verse 6. The great calling isn't to a set of rules, or a religion, or some theological system. The call is to belong to a person. The call is to belong to Jesus Christ himself. And this belonging, it brings with it two defining gifts, the very words Paul uses to sign off his greeting: grace and peace. Grace is God's totally unearned, undeserved favor. And peace? That's the restored, whole relationship with God that His grace makes possible. These two realities are what the entire Christian life is built on. And so this is the profound truth tucked away in a simple greeting. Before you can ever do anything for Him, you first belong to Him. Before you obey Him, you are His. This isn't something you achieve, it is a gift you receive. That, right there, is the very heart of the gospel.